What's up, everybody? Welcome back for another edition of the Watchpoint Post-Show. We are coming at you live from the Blizzard Arena in Los Angeles, California. Welcome back, everyone. It's Puckett. You know my crew. I got a full crew today. We got Zoe, we've got Bren, and Mr. Hexagriffs. Weren't you just casting?
I think so.
Welcome.
I'm a tracer main. I just blinked right down here.
He's very swift. So I want to start with you, though. We do this every show. What did you learn today? For any of the fans that are just waking up in Europe, dusting off their eyes, what did you see? What do they need to go back and watch?
What I learned today, Paris does look like the best 3-3 team. We so far haven't found a cure against it. And yeah, Paris is dominant.
I like that a lot.
I'll tell you that
Brenji?
one. For me personally, I would say that every team is beatable. I was going into today with the impression that Vancouver Titans were right up top. They were going to be pretty hard to pin down. But generally speaking, I think every team has looked beatable. And it just means that we're in for a hell of a ride with the Overwatch League 2019 season.
Hex, you've had 30 seconds to prep. What do you got?
I learned that I can get down those stairs, use the bathroom, get my makeup touched up in less than 2 minutes. I also learned that Hammond is the most entertaining hero to watch in Overwatch League by a long mile, and it's super entertaining.
Did you wash your hands?
Shout out to the people with the signs, except for this guy who loves Brigitte. All right, let's move this on a little bit later in this show. We're going to be breaking down the roster of the new look Florida Mayhem with one of their recent Academy graduates. Apply is going to be coming on the show. And don't forget to pick up your Overwatch League All Access Pass so you can check out the live Q&A with Apply on Twitch right after Watchpoint. With the plugs done, let's talk about this Mayhem squad because they just went to a Game 5 against the Chengdu Hunters in our final match of the day. At the half, it was all tied up 1-1. And then Anubis came around. Jinmu, 45% of his team's damage on this attack with Pharah.
Don't get me started on this game, mate, Puckett, right? Because I was watching this, and it seems like teams have forgotten how to attack on Anubis for some reason. Particularly Florida. I tweeted this out. Chengdu, all right, here's the thing, right? It's so hard to analyze what they do because they're playing such unconventional Overwatch and such unconventional compositions. But I was watching this, just my mind was being blown by the inability of Florida to really understand what was going on. And if they just played, I don't know, if they just played normal goats, right? Normal triple tank, triple supports with the Reinhardt, I think they would have been golden, honestly. But they just kept trying to do fancy stuff. Mate.
Too fancy.
Genuinely, it really quite annoyed me just watching it because Florida, I know that they're capable of so much more, right, as a team, watching this. And Chengdu, they just seem to drag teams down to this level where they just don't know how to play against the Hammond compositions. On Rialto in particular, Florida ended up pulling out the Hammond themselves at some point. When did they start adding?
You got to counter a Hammond with the Hammond, man.
Genuinely.
Bring out more Wrecking Ball.
I know I'm ranting, but it's late, and I feel like it needs to be said. Otherwise, you know, these teams, they need to be called out on this nonsense.
Brent, I kind of ignored you while you were mumbling there. What was your point? That you
didn't really have one other than the fact that Chengdu like to drag teams down to this level, and teams forget how to play Overwatch when they play against them.
Drag down nonsense. Get on their level. They're bringing a whole new meta to Overwatch.
Yeah, so maybe I was being a little bit too harsh with that because the team play is still there. That's the most bizarre thing about this, is that these teams are still coordinated, but they just don't, they get so confused in the swing of things. These guys have been playing triple tank, triple support for so long, they don't know what to do when they see it.
That's what I said. You scrim all week against triple tank, triple support. That's what you're expecting. Then Chengdu doesn't care.
Peekaboo! Slam camp. You don't expect to be slammed up if you're a support player.
My problem here is just that we all knew this coming into that. So if I were to face up against the Chengdu Hunters, I would know that. I would know what to expect because I know exactly that they just go for mad, weird chaos.
Yep.
So
they love chaos.
Yeah, but you'd think the teams they're facing off against are prepared against it.
All right, guys, we only have a 30-minute show, so I'm going to keep this moving because we got a name. It's our player of the match, sponsored by Omen by HP. Let's take a look at who is it today. You love them on Diva. It's his Sombra that shined in my mind. Elsa today popping off here for the Hunters.
I mean, so much attention goes to the Hammond play, and with good reason. And then they've got all these other weird pieces too. But when you want consistency on your team, the one consistent piece, you want consistent Diva play. And Elsa was there with bombs. Elsa was there on the Sombra. Elsa pulled it out at the last second. This Rialto map should have ended about 3 minutes before it did. But they gutted out EMPs late and were able to pick up kills.
Taking a look at some of the numbers, 41 final blows, 101 eliminations on that Diva. And of course, you saw him negating 2 big gravitons throughout that match. Very impressive stuff coming in from our player of the match, presented by Omen by HP. That's also, once again, from the Hunters. Now, the Los Angeles Gladiators took on the Paris Eternal to kick things off. And if you're looking at the numbers, Paris is now clearly the best team in Europe, without a doubt, over London Spitfire. But where do you guys rank this squad amongst the best teams in the league, Brent? Earlier you said Vancouver was at the tippy top.
Yeah, I honestly think that Paris has taken over that spot. I mean, it was a very close game between LA Gladiators. So like I said earlier in the post-show, every team still looks beatable. But Paris, I've been very impressed. I think that they've got clean, clinical play when it comes to this triple tank, triple support. You need that. It's necessary to realistically make playoffs. I can definitely foresee this team maybe even taking the Stage 1 finals.
Zoe, what did you see from Paris? I know you were pretty high on this squad coming in. You picked them to win, and they definitely pulled it off against the Gladiators.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much the same thing we've already seen in their previous games. There was just a lot of good coordinations with their ultimates. They really worked well together. Finzi really popped off today on his duo, which I'm super happy to see, since we haven't seen too much of him last year.
If you look at their 3-3, what's so impressive is just how precise it is. And I'm sold after watching today, because the self-destructs come over the top, and they explode as Graviton expires so that they can move people out of the way. And it's down to the millisecond, and that's what 3-3 is all about. Do not make mistakes. You can't be half a second late on transcendences. You can't be half a second late on sound barriers. And Paris just seems to have it down like clockwork.
We saw this map come to a draw, and I want to ask you guys about Paris's opponent. What did we think of the Gladiators today? Did they play the way you were expecting them?
No, not at all. I felt like they looked very disconnected from each other. It looked like a bit of a scramble. It didn't look as coordinated as what we previously saw from them. And I do think that they may or may not have a little bit of an issue with their flexibility. Having a Surefrunner on that D.Va, not being able to really switch off to the Sombra because sorry, not D.Va, Zarya, because that doesn't allow him to switch over to Sombra because they wouldn't have another player who's able to pick that hero off.
Help should be coming in that regard.
Decay!
It's a fellow named Decay.
We'll see you next week, buddy.
One of the things that I was really looking out for, honestly, was this tank matchup. Because early on, we were singing high praises for Raw, but Ben Best absolutely slapped around Raw when it came to the Reinhardt matchup. And it was quite one-sided in that regard. Obviously, you need to take that with a grain of salt, because a lot of factors go into the fact of how a main tank performs, namely your Zarya. You need your bubbles on point. A lot of it comes down to whoever's shot calling as well. But generally speaking, I think that's one thing that LA Gladiators need to shape up.
I do have to say, I think this was our match of the day. If you're just tuning in, go back and watch this battle. But Zoe, one of the things we highlighted on the Watchpoint pre-show was the Lucios. We knew that we had two incredible Lucios between the Gladiators and Paris Eternal. How did Big Goose match up against the Crews from the Eternal on the other side of the stage?
You know, at some points in the maps, it looked very, very close. But if you're looking at the overall stats, Cruz actually ran away, or rather skated away with this one, because he managed to actually outdo him in every single metric. And that took me a little bit by surprise, considering that Big Goose and Shaz, the support duo from the Gladiators, had such an outstanding performance in the last few games. I think the Shock was the one where they really popped up. So I expected a lot from them, but man, Cruz was all over them. He had so many great boops, also a lot of environmental kills, but he got a lot of stuff done for this team.
That sound barrier was a half second before the hammer hit him in the face, and that game's over.
Yeah, it's unreal, honestly, isn't it? It's actually amazing. I think the UK players have had so much success so far. I'm proud of my region. You know, finally we're not a joke in esports anymore. Took them long enough, you know.
1 out of 28 games. Proud of you guys.
Yeah,
well, we're getting there, mate.
So
you know, we're getting there. You know, you took a look at Fiddy as well. I know we're talking about Cruz and Big Goose here, but you've just disrespected the UK puckers, so I'm going to come back at you, mate.
That's what I do.
You know, they take out Boombox.
We went all the way
a little bit. Philly start losing. You know how it goes. As soon as they put Boombox in, I guarantee you will start winning again. You know, it's all about those UK players.
It's all about those UK mates. My favorite part of the day, though, was watching Lucios bump Reinhardt's into the air while they were charging. You missed some incredible missiles if you missed that matchup. But there was no shortage of trash talk this week. Let's talk about a next one, because there was a big battle between Dallas and Philly. But it was Dallas who backed up their trash talk with their play. Coming up, we break down how the fuel flamed Philly and what led Dallas assistant coach Jane to say this.
Well, you know, I do a lot of analysis on my Twitch channel. I talk about teams, good and bad, and, you know, it's the team's own fault if they get offended by the truth.
Whoa! That was...
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. High ground or low ground, T-Mobile has you covered.
Welcome back. It's time to talk about a little battle between our expansion teams tonight. On the pre-show, Zoe and Bren picked the Vancouver Titans to take down the Guangzhou Charge. But Hex, you went the other way. You said it was the Charge tonight. So let me ask you, coming into this match, what were your expectations?
Well, the reason I picked the Charge, I didn't do explain in the pre-show, was just so that Seth and Wolf shut up about Vancouver being like this best team ever. They're so good. I get it. They're Runaway. I know who Runaway is, but do you know who the Charge is? And even though they didn't win, I'm fine that the Charge took them to the brink because now Seth and Wolf are like, oh, there are other teams that aren't Vancouver. So yeah, I'm happy that my boy Happy was able to slap him around enough to make those guys settle down a little bit.
This was such a fun series, and it all started back on Nepal. Yes, more hamsters were in play. Rio showing you that he can run every single main tank in the game. This one back and forth. Eileen with some nice Sombra play, mopping it up. And if you looked at the end here, it was Charge again in control of the control maps. Were you surprised by the initial game, Bren? Did this have you worried at all for Vancouver?
Genuinely speaking, I don't know if I was surprised, so to speak, because Guangzhou are actually very good at running in multiple different compositions. We knew that Happy has a fantastic Widowmaker. I was a little bit shocked to see it, but when they were starting to see results out of it, I think it did take Vancouver Titans off guard a little bit, you know? They don't really know how to play into it when teams are not running the triple tank, triple support, because it's what they're so used to playing against on a regular basis.
Oh man, Volskaya was such a fantastic round to watch, or rather all the rounds on Volskaya were fantastic to watch. I was so impressed with so many of these players that it's actually really, really hard to pick some favorites, but Slime on Lucio didn't die a single time.
Pretty impressive.
But the entirety of this map, he just didn't die, and I don't know how he did it. Haksal also only died one time, and they fragged out. I have no
Vancouver's invincible in Russia, it's true. Now, as we went on in this series, you thought it was going to be Vancouver locking it up. Guangzhou on the fourth and final map subs Kibin. You see a little bit of a stronghold early on. We see a fifth game coming. Charge holds strong. We go back to control, and I think, all right, well, they won the first map. They got to win the second control, right, Hex?
Yeah, but not necessarily. I was really excited for Ruins because I wanted Happy to be able to click heads. If you're Happy, you know what, click heads, dink, dink. Not the case, too much shielding going on here, but again, I think this Guangzhou team is so interesting because how they're built was we just want really strong young players, and we're not even really expecting to win the league this year, and now I think they've exceeded their own expectations. They're building for the future, want to be able to hang with the big boys. They've hung with the big boys.
I love it, and props to the art team. I love seeing the blue battle here in this one. Great stuff from Vancouver and Charge. At the end of the day, it's the Vancouver Titans, though, staying on top with a perfect record. And for the Charge, this Game 5 loss is brutal because this is your second Game 5 loss out of just 3 matches. Your first one came on that opening day against Chengdu. They should be 3-0 potentially, currently sitting at 1-2 on the rankings.
I mean, you can't be super upset about that because in the end, they can still come down to map differential, and being able to bring into map 5 each and every time is not going to put you in the worst spot.
That's a very true point. They have a negative overall record, positive map differential. Let's talk about an old school rivalry. This one comes down to the NFC East for Hex and I. I rep Dallas, he reps Philly. But in this one, we knew that it was Dallas talking a lot of trash coming into it. Dallas's assistant coach, James Pleasure, was definitely on show because he was so proud of the way his squad adapted, while Philly, once again, without Boombox, fell at the hands of their opponent. What did you guys see in this first match?
Yeah, in general, the immediate takeaway from me is that Fusion are still very uncomfortable when they're not running Boombox in their lineup. You know, as well, again, I'll say take it with a grain of salt because Elk himself, he's playing in an off role. Normally he's on main support, now he's on flex support. It's a change of positions. He's not used to playing it. So, of course, they're not going to be playing up to their peak and all their potential, but it has taken them, you know, off tilt a little.
I think Elk mechanically performed fine. It's his game sense that worries me a little bit. If you go look at that Numbani map where he comes around the corner on Transcendence, gets charged away from his team, that's a play that Boombox probably doesn't make. He knows how aggressive OG is trying to get those charges. So it's just a game sense. I don't blame him at all. It just seems like Philadelphia is not putting all the pieces together, but when both your supports are sick. And
can we talk about Dallas, though, here? I know you don't like this city, Hex, but the team came out to play today. Very impressive stuff. RCK was the player of the match, in my opinion. Who impressed you guys from Dallas in this one?
AKM, it's got to be. This guy, he turns up every single time. It seems that they put him in. They didn't put him in for Horizon, but I think they learned their mistake. Put him in a little bit later when they subbed him in finally when they wanted to get the win. A big part of this as well is the fact that AKM is one of the main callers for this team. He provides a lot of information behind the scenes. It's not necessarily, he's not necessarily the best mechanically skilled Zarya player in the world. Doesn't maybe have the fanciest of Graviton surges, but it doesn't matter when you're calling the shots and you're calling it well.
Sorry to interrupt here. Carpe with the play of the day, despite the loss. Goes into spawn, switches to Widow, comes out, picks 3 headshots, including that falling headshot on Lucio to keep his game in it. But at the end of the day, it's RCK, OGE with the mop-up, and it's Dallas Fuel with a 3-1 victory. Coming up just a little bit later, we'll be joined by the Florida Mayhem's Apply. And of course, we've got our most over-the-top moments of the day. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We're just heating up here on the Watchpoint Post Show.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back. It's the Watchpoint Post Show. I'm your host, Chris Puckett, and we've got a very special guest joining us right now. It's from the Florida Mayhem Academy player. Wait, did I say Academy? I meant main team. He's made the move all the way up. Apply. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, thank you.
How you doing tonight, Damon?
I'm doing great. You know, it sucks watching my team lose, but we always bounce back.
Now, we wanted to bring you on this show. Unfortunately, Florida didn't get the win tonight. We were hoping to celebrate with you, but we want to celebrate the fact that you have gone through the path to pro.
Right.
You're officially on the Mayhem team right now. What has this transition been like for you? Can you walk us through the steps to becoming a pro Overwatch League player?
So for me personally, it was actually really fast. Like, I went from almost like 3 to 4 open division teams right to Mayhem Academy, played 2 seasons of Mayhem Academy, and I went right to Al.
As soon as you turned 18? They're like,
actually.
get up there, son.
Yeah.
So what can the fans expect from you? What do you play?
I'm the flex DPS for Mayhem. I play a lot of Genji, Pharah, Sombra, in this meta, Brig, of course.
And unfortunately, tonight your team lost, but I want to ask you, as a member of the squad and someone who is constantly watching the scrimmages, the practices, how would you describe the team's play style? Because it seems to be a bit inconsistent from week to week.
I think, especially for this game, it's really hard to prepare for Hunters, especially because they play a different comp than most teams do. I think it's really hard to scrim against it because no one really plays it. We were a little unprepared for their comps. I mean, we knew they were going to play it, but it's really hard to practice against it because we always practice against GOATs. But I think we just have to learn.
Just keep evolving.
Yeah.
I got a quick little question for you, Apply, as well. So we all know as well that your entire team, they all communicate in English as a whole. So what has that been like as well for, I guess, the Korean players and for you in particular? Have you and Tavik been like taking on some Korean duties as well?
No, it's actually the other way around. They're learning English pretty fast. I think their in-game English is getting there. We have a little bit of communication barriers, but we're breaking it down as we go. They're learning really fast. I think Maybe 1 or 2 are still struggling, but, you know, it's getting there.
Cool.
I love it. Well, something I love doing, and I've been doing for a while in my career, is to throw people rapid-fire questions.
All right,
I've got my whole gang with me, so the 4 of us are coming at you. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
First question. Apply from the Florida Mayhem. Who is your favorite hero?
Genji.
Okay, who's your favorite teammate?
All of them.
Who's the funniest guy on your team? I see your PR train. Well done.
Yeah, there we go. Funniest guy on the team, me.
How do you get your hair looking so good?
Secret.
Which team do you want to face the most?
Dallas.
Who's driving the Mayhem bus now?
Devik still.
Oh, poor guy.
I forgot my question. Oh, what's
It's not your
the
paper,
most
Brad.
about the Overwatch League?
Fans. I didn't think the fans would be this diehard. You know, a lot of really crazy fans. You know, screaming, signing things. I didn't ever think I would have fans. Yeah, like that.
You're representing Florida,
yeah.
man. It's a weird state.
Important question. Who's your favorite caster?
And why is it Hex?
No comment.
Safe play. I like this guy. He's going to go far. Final question. Have you ever been to Florida?
Yes, the whole team went on a Florida trip very recently.
Boom. They've been there. He's there. He's going to be here all the
I'm
time.
here.
He's 18 now. That's Apply, guys. We're going to keep him around for a while. But right now, it's time to take a look at the most over-the-top moments of the day. Number 5. It's Hex's good buddy. Cool guys. Semler was in the house tonight, baby.
What was up with that?
He actually broke his glasses. Like someone threw a bag of candy and it hit his glasses and they'd already been broken. So those are prescription sunglasses. He needed them to read.
A bag of candy.
I hate when bags of candy
Okay.
break my glasses.
It's the most
Hate it all
Semler
the
thing
time.
ever.
Best way to rock a vest, absolutely. Number 4, we got Zoe's shoes. They're lit and they're covered by our lower third. Zoe, where did you get these?
Really, really sketchy, weird shop in Vegas, to be honest. $5 was a good deal. And I matched them to the halftime scores, in case you haven't noticed. Yeah, that's right.
Very color coordinated. I love it. Moving on, number 3, it's Carpe with the play of the day. Nothing but Blaine, son.
I think that the Overwatch League is in a good spot when you have Widowmaker plays. Everybody understands click heads, make them dead. It's a lot easier to explain than 3-3. Carpe's a monster.
Moving it on, we got to go on board with the Brits, not just Bren here on Watchpoint Post Show. Cruz is in here with that last-second sound barrier. Just moments before the OG hammer takes him out. Paris stays up, and they clutch this one through.
This was legit sick, mate, as well. After this point as well, he manages to boot Shurfall over the leg, so he just takes him out of the fight.
Love it. Does it all the time. And our number 1 play, it's Janu Nuke Charge with a game winner tonight. As you saw, it is going to be Vancouver Titans. The Big Bang close out the charge as Vancouver stays perfect.
That's what 3-3's all about. Set up the combo, charge him away, knock him down. I actually thought this was when Guangzhou was about to bring it back. They just gotten a couple of kills, and all of a sudden, boom, there go your hopes, there go your dreams.
All of your dreams are crushed. Those are the moments that made us cheer, but let's see who's been cheering on Twitch all day. It looks like Atlanta Reign still out in front. Shanghai Dragons breaking into the top 10 after an awesome win yesterday. And of course, we want to show some love to those who have been supporting their squads. The number 1 spot belongs to this man, Numbra TV. 125,000 bits donated to support his teams. Love that. Incredible stuff, guys. Thank you all for showing your support and keep those donations coming. But don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. This is the Watchpoint Post Show.
The NYXL are now mortal and beatable.
왜냐면은 그때 게임 끝나고 나서 많이 울었었고.
메타가 약간 변화가 됐어요. 자기 자신은 죽지 않으며
이제 우리는 졌기 때문에 더 이상 내려갈 곳이 없습니다. 위로만 올라갈게요. Ever over.
That piece looks so good. Can't wait to see it tomorrow on our Watchpoint pre-show. Also tomorrow, we're bringing you these 4 matches. New York takes on the Outlaws in our second match of the day. But the big one, Hex, this is the one you were fired up about all week long. We're going to see the Titans versus the Shock.
It should be a good matchup. The Titans have shown that they are definitely beatable. The Shock could field, any one of several teams that they can make out of the 12 that they have. I'd imagine that they're going to run their 3-3 base, and we're going to see a clash of some of the best 3-3 in the league.
So we got some big matches tomorrow. What are you most pumped for?
Actually, exactly the same match. I think that's going to be the match of the day. There's going to be so much firepower there, so much team cohesion from both sides. I can't wait to see what they have in store for us.
And Bren, we got to close out the show with you, my friend. Why should fans come back to look at your face tomorrow morning?
For me personally, I'm looking forward to the New York-Houston game. Genuinely, I think Houston's turned up. They've definitely improved. New York are looking beatable.
Not that they won a game, right?
He shakes his head, genuinely. But I am looking forward to the game.
You said they weren't going to win a game all season yesterday.
I didn't say that. Don't listen to it.
You have to keep watching because Bren changes his opinion every single show. That's going to do it for everyone here on the Watchpoint Post Show. But don't forget, we got our Q&A with our buddy Apply, the new face of the Mayhem. He's in the house and he's answering all of your questions, but only if you have the All Access Pass. So get it on Twitch right now. We'll see you tomorrow, 11:30.